Hey guys, Jason Morris here with the Facebook group Real Estate Agents That Really Work. So this morning, this is the first of several recordings, but I'm recording 10 strategies for free buyer leads. I see this often where agents think they have to subscribe to Zillow and they have to subscribe to all these services to get buyer leads, and sometimes they're just overpaying when they haven't really maxed out what they can get for like very low cost or no cost anyway. And some of these are going to be things that you might not want to do or might not like doing, but some of these are going to be some great strategies that I think are heavily being underutilized, especially for real estate agents. Because the thing is, some of them, typically if it's free, you got to work for it a little bit. Um, and there's always a conversion rate. So, uh, not 100% of your buyer leads are going to buy from you. You have to go through and you have to create a conversion rate from every single lead source. So let's go ahead and get started this morning. The first lead source that we have is Craigslist. Now, it used to be several years ago, everybody would spam Craigslist. They'd put their link there, and Craigslist was a fantastic lead source, and people could click the link and register and all this stuff, and you get a lot of leads through Craigslist for free. Well, then to combat spam, Craigslist took and put a system in place where there's no exterior links, at least not in the real estate section, and they kind of limited what you do. Now, so the thing you really have to do is you have to, when you're doing ads on Craigslist, you got to put a couple of pictures, you got to put a couple things, you got to make your ads so that it creates curiosity. Right? There's two things that we want to do on every single one of these, and I'm gonna just write it right here. There's two things we got to do with every single one. Two things. Number one is we want to raise curiosity. Did I spell that right? That didn't look right. Number two, we want to create a conversation. Okay, so you might not want to put 123 Main Street for sale. You might want to put hey, I found two houses, two homes that qualify for 100% financing with less than $1,000 down, or whatever your market has, and talk to your lenders, figure out what programs you do have, what programs you don't have, that sort of thing, because some of these things are going to be, there's going to be some markets where there's a ton of opportunity with lending programs. Some markets there's not going to be as many. It just depends on where you're at. But number one, you need to create curiosity. If you create curiosity, somebody will click on your ad, somebody will email you, somebody will give you a call, somebody will text you, somebody will do something, right? And if you create a conversation, what's going to happen is hopefully, they're going to reach out to you and say, hey, I'm interested in more information. Then you have the opportunity to actually talk with them. They might not be interested. The ad might really be about 123 Main Street, but you hadn't put the address in it. And I think it's a bad idea to put the address in, because if you put the address, they can go research it. You never even knew they were interested in 123 Main Street, right? But if you create an ad that creates curiosity and creates a conversation, then you at least have the opportunity to talk with them, see if they're qualified. Maybe they're not interested in 123 Main Street, but they're interested in something like it in a different neighborhood. Or maybe that is out of their price range. Maybe it's below the price range they're looking at. Maybe they want a more expensive community. So you have to, that's one of the things you just have to do, and you have to go through it, and you have to look for those sorts of opportunities, but you have to look for that sort of thing when you're creating ads too. So I'm going to just take and let's see. Well, he's going to let me. There we go. So number two, let's back up one. Facebook Marketplace. where those two are different. Okay, Facebook Marketplace, that's when you log into your app and you see that little thing in the middle, that's Marketplace. Okay? And the thing about Marketplace is really powerful. And that's the same sort of thing as what we talked about a minute ago. You want to put an ad that raises curiosity, creates a conversation. You want them to message you through it. Maybe you do an ad that says, hey, one home available over in the east side of town, and you put some very kind of vague details. Like for me, we might want to put 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 2-car garage, home in Carolina Forest, available with a low down payment, bad credit, okay. Right? Because a lot of people that are shopping for houses, sometimes their credit isn't as bad as what they think it is. Sometimes it's worse than what they think it is, but sometimes it isn't as bad as what they think it is. A lot of agents don't realize that these people that just need like that 20 points, that 40 points, something like that, they can get that usually pretty easy. Usually just disputing a couple things off their credit, getting a new credit card, paying something down. And this is one of the reasons why we want to have a credit company that we're working with. And if you don't have one, just message me and I'll hook you up with one. But it's okay if you put in your ads, and sometimes you put bad credit okay, challenge credit okay, low credit okay, something like that. That way you do create that curiosity, you do create that conversation, and that's what this is going to be about. You want to create the conversation. That way you have the opportunity to talk with them about what they're interested in, where they're at. A lot of people think they have bad credit if they don't have a 700. The thing is, you can have a 620 buy a house. If you got some down payment money, I think you can go to 580. And then with the Dodd-Frank Act making changes, who knows where the lending programs will be, in 6 months. So lending is constantly opening up right now. So I think Facebook Marketplace is a great source. I think a lot of agents misuse it because they think that they can put pictures, and they think they can put a link in it. They think that it's going to them putting the pictures, then putting the link, that's going to be seen by everybody. But the problem is with a Facebook algorithm, lots of links don't get syndicated through your timeline. So lots of times if you're using conversion or you're using some version of conversion, sometimes hey, nobody sees the link because Facebook is weeding the link out. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things that's kind of tough right now with Facebook, is any link going outside of Facebook. Facebook wants to keep everybody on their site. They don't want to take them to your site, right? They don't really want to take them to YouTube. They don't want to take them to anything exterior from Facebook. So the Facebook Marketplace is a great place to find leads. Now, here's another one, Facebook buy-sell groups. Now, this is something interesting. We see it all over Facebook, and you guys see it too. And this is probably one of the most spammed sources right now, is Facebook buy and sell groups, because agents think that they have to they take and post one property, and they post that one property in 10 or 15 groups, and they think that is like the way that this should operate. And if you guys listen, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat there on Facebook, and I'll be glad to answer them. But Facebook buy and sell groups, sometimes those groups for some reason don't really get syndicated to Marketplace. Some of them do, some of them don't. And it's just something I've noticed, like looking myself and just trying things out and testing things. So sometimes the buy and sell groups, sometimes they get syndicated to Marketplace, and the people that are part of the group see it. Sometimes they don't, which is kind of funky. But here again, if you're posting an exterior link on Facebook, it's not going to get seen by as many people. And, and a strategy to do too, you want to create curiosity and you want to create a conversation. So what you really want to do is take that one picture, don't put an address, because an address, they can just drive by it and you never even know they were interested in it, or they can get online and research and you never know they were even interested in the property or anything about it. put enough details to raise curiosity, but don't give them everything. Don't give them 100%. You know. And Sydney, that's a good point. That man has to choose to sync the marketplace, and some just don't. You know, and the thing is, you don't want to spam. You don't want to spam basically 20 groups with the same property. You know, you might want to pick 2 or 3 of the larger ones that have the most activity to be a part of. And because if you're in 20 groups, you're trying to post to 20 groups, it's a little bit overwhelming too. And basically, Facebook smart, it weeds out spam. I believe right now with the algorithm, I believe you're better off posting in one group that's getting a lot of activity than you are posting in a lot of groups that don't really get much activity. You know what I mean? So let's get on to the next source. Sign calls. Guys, this is the highest. This should have been number one. This is the best lead sources that they're out there. These are people literally driving around in their car, and they are looking for property for sale sometimes, but at least they're taking the initiative to stop, write down your number, and call you. Sign calls in my book have always been the number one lead that you can get. Now, the only way you can get sign calls, though, is if you go out and get listings. So, but as a bonus, guys, one of the, I guess, the best resources is going out and getting listings, letting them syndicate online, putting your signs out front, and get calls off the signs. You get free Zillow leads that way. You get leads from a lot of websites that it syndicates to. Some of the leads that I get from websites, I don't even know I've never heard of the website before, but apparently somebody's going on them and searching and stuff. The only way you can get these leads is if you go out and take listings, and this is one of the reasons why it's so important to build listings in your real estate business, as well as, if you're going to work with buyers, you got a time block, and you got to call, and you got to get listings too, So number five, open houses. Open houses are, basically you get two things from it, but here's the thing: you got to plan for your open houses. You gotta advertise them, you gotta market them. And what I mean by advertise them is, post them on Facebook and a couple of those marketplace things, post it on Craigslist, go around, knock on all the neighbors' doors, hand out flyers, tell them where you're going to be. Put out signs, put out balloons. You can't put out one sign and hope people show up. You got to put out a bunch of signs, like 8 to 10. You got to at least go from the beginning of the neighborhood to the back of the neighborhood, but all the way out to a main road. That's like the minimum, right? And it's better if you can put out the open signs like the day before, right? Put them out the day before the house. Put your sign out there. Take a printout or a piece of paper or a flyer, stick it on the front of it. Says open house tomorrow, 1 to 3, because people will follow those signs. They will drive by the house, and they will come back the next day, right? But open houses, you got to have a sign-in sheet. You got to have a sign-in sheet to get everybody's information, and it's really easy. You just tell them, hey guys, the seller wants to see everybody that came to the house. Would you please, sign in, and go ahead and you can do it on just a sheet of notebook paper if that's all you got, but make 3 columns, your name, your phone number, and are you looking to buy it and sell a house? And you probably should put their email too, but open houses are a great buyer lead source. They're a great seller lead source too, because you're going to have nosy neighbors coming by. So now the next one is probably one that everybody's talked about, but none of us seem to work it quite enough, or we work it the wrong way. And what it is your sphere of influence. Now, I know some people don't have one, but most of you have a bigger sphere of influence than what you think. You just got to sit down, you got to write it all out, and, think about it, your sphere of influence. And most agents just work this lead source pretty incorrectly. What they do is they call them and they think, hey, that person doesn't want to buy a house. Really what you're doing is you're just touching base with them, because sometimes we don't know who our friends and family know. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're just touching base with them 5 minutes, just call them up. Hey, this is Jason Morris with eXp Realty. How you doing? are, well, they're people you already know, so you don't even need to tell them what company you're with. Hey, Cindy, I was thinking about you. You can do it through Facebook. Hey, I was thinking about you. How's things going? What are you up to nowadays? And typically they're going to ask you what you're up to and say, oh, well, I sell real estate. Chat with them a few minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour-long conversation. It can be like a 2-minute conversation. Hey, hey, look here. If you know anybody looking to, I was just thinking about you. Just want to call you and say, hey, if you know anybody looking to buy or sell a house, hey, give them my number. I'll be happy to help them. Hey, I really appreciate it. I'm glad you're doing well, and I'll talk to you later. I mean, that's all the conversation has to be. A lot of agents, though, we kind of lose touch of our sphere of influence because we never call and talk to them, and then they find somebody else in the business, or sometimes they forget about us. And more than likely that's what happens to a lot of people is they forget about us. And I always feel like call, text, message through Facebook are probably the best ways just to touch base with your sphere of influence. And just say, hey, how are you? Hey, I saw you got a new puppy. Hey, I saw you got a new grandbaby. Hey, I saw this, or whatever it is. But sometimes you got to get creative. You got to look for reasons to contact your sphere, but you need to make it a meaningful touch. It can't be 100% about you. Just at the end or somewhere in there, yeah, I'm still selling real estate, and normally they're going to ask you how the market, oh, how's the market? And most agents kind of mess up this question. And we get asked it a lot of times. We get asked it at holiday parties and everything. Oh, how's the market? And most agents go, oh, it's good. But, really, really the way that they should do it, the real answer to that question, how's the market, is, oh, well, are you looking to, it depends. Are you looking to buy or sell or invest in a house? And that way, at least you're opening the conversation to, hey, they might have been thinking about, maybe they inherited grandma's house. Maybe they were thinking about buying a tract of land. Maybe they're thinking about a rental property. Maybe they're thinking about a bunch of different things, but you just go, oh, the market's good. Or typically for agents, we go, oh, I've been really busy. Oh, how's the market? Oh, I've been really busy. And then we kind of blow that chance to create and have the conversation. You know what I mean? So next we got video. And I talked about this a little bit on last week's coaching call. Now video, a lot of the rest of the strategies I'm going to tell you are going to be a little bit longer term strategies. Sometimes YouTube videos aren't going to get you business today, but what you should do, you should do the walkthrough of the house. I see a lot of agents, they do the walkthrough of the house and they take and they think they feel like they really accomplished something. What they should be doing with video and YouTube is they should be taking and creating a video they can use over and over that's informative. Maybe they are walking through the house, but what they're doing when they're walking through the house is they're using something in the house as an example of the actual subject of the video, right? So maybe you're talking about, common repair things, right? Common things you see on houses, common things that pop up on termite inspections. One of the common things you see on termite inspections in my area is usually around the garage door, or you see a back door and stuff where there's been a little bit of water intrusion. The door jamb right there at the base, 2 or 3 inches up from the ground, you'll see that discolored place that's got moisture and it's kind of rotted, especially on houses that are 15, 20 years old. And that's a common thing that pops up on CL 100s and termite inspections in my market. Maybe you're doing a video and you want to talk about that, or you want to talk about something that that's common features you see in some houses, common things, common size of the garage. I mean, there could be a bunch of different things, but you want to make it an informative video and use the house as a subject, not the subject being the house. That way, though, you can use the video over and over again as a resource. Maybe you got buyers coming in town. Maybe they got some questions about, like, hey, what's a CL 100? That's a big one we get here. What's a CL 100? Well, it's really just a termite inspection. But hey, you've got this great 5-minute video that you done that was about common things that you see pop up on termite inspections, and you got that thing there on the back door, like I just talked about. That could be a great video that you actually send sellers. You could send it to buyers. There's a lot of uses for it, right? So that's what you want to do for your YouTube videos. And sometimes it might not be stuff that you're going to get business from like today, but it could be something that you get business from, in 2 months, 3 months. You know what I mean? But then once you have a resource of 100 of these videos of common topics that buyers are looking for, then you're going to start noticing you're going to start being found. But you need to have a call to action in the video as well. And a lot of agents forget that. They make a great video, it's got a great subject, but they don't have a call to action anywhere in it, So guys, the next one is blogging. Now, creating a blog and having a blog, I don't think it's the end all be all of anything. And it's a little bit of a long-term source or resource. Just like the videos, you can create a lot of content on a blog. And you can do walkthroughs, you can do descriptions of buildings, you could do things like, I'll tell you, one of the big search things in my market is resorts that allow dogs. Like when you start doing keyword research and stuff, and you go to SEObook.com, create a free account, and do all the keyword research that you can possibly stand. Now, blogging is a long-term strategy. You might start today, and you have to be consistent. That's the biggest thing, is consistency. And that's where most agents fall off the wagon. They write 1 or 2 blog posts, and then they fall off, Now, blogging, I would say that it's something you can outsource, but sometimes it's really just not, not to begin with, at least. You can find ways that you can outsource it at some point in the future. But, the best thing to do would be to create the videos, right? Create the videos, upload them to YouTube, and then create a blog from that video in the future. And it's a long-term strategy. Maybe you don't get a lot of business from the first 6 months, but then in a year from now, it may be a major source of business for you, but it's a long-term strategy. So next, Facebook Live. Now, I think Facebook Live is fantastic. I mean, if you guys are watching in a Facebook group, if you guys are watching me on a Facebook group, you see that we're doing Facebook Live here. Now, Facebook Live for your clients in the general public needs to be the same way as YouTube. And, you can actually take and set it up so you can do the Facebook Live, and then it gets uploaded to YouTube later. Or you can do the Facebook Live, and you can do it on your business page, and then you can boost the post. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do with Facebook Live, but same thing, the subject matter doesn't necessarily need to be the house a lot of times. Lots of times the subject matter is the subject matter, and the house is an example of it. And that's how you make evergreen content, So the next one is one that this is the last one here today. It's networking. And I think that a lot of agents do this wrong. Sometimes we're looking for, we're showing up at a lot of places and we're trying to meet random people. A lot of agents think meeting the barista at Starbucks is the greatest thing ever. However, there's a lot of opportunities for us, whether it's your chamber of commerce, whether it's your, your local, church that you attend, whatever it is. A lot of agents don't. We could do a whole video on networking, but one of the things that you want to look for is the people that are conduits to lots of other people. Now, it could be the human resources person at a big company, human resources person at a hospital. It could be a preacher. It could be an HOA manager. Like, a lot of us forget that HOA managers talk to everybody in the community. So we're wanting to go out and make a community attack plan where we're trying to dominate a community for listings and buyers and stuff, but we never talk to the HOA manager, who should be like the number one person on the list. If you want to do something with, XYZ community, we should be buddies with that person, right? And I'll tell you a great Story back when short sales were really big in my market. There was a couple of HOA managers that back then I'd done property management and stuff too, but there was a couple of HOA managers I became friends with. And when I seen that HOAs were, a lot of HOAs in my area were just being hit really hard with the foreclosures and downturns, and typically people quit paying their HOAs before they quit paying their mortgage payment. And a lot of these HOA managers didn't realize that they could actually, if that person would do a short sale, if they went through the foreclosure, the HOA fees were getting wiped out. They would get $0. If they done a short sale, lots of times the bank would give the HOA, offer the HOA anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000, just depending on the situation and how much was owed. And a lot of HOAs didn't, managers didn't realize this. So I had one particular one that this guy referred me a bunch of deals during that time. I mean, not all of them I could work with, but man, for a little while he was sending me like one person a week. And the reason was it was just networking. It was just giving him the information, just casual conversation. Hey man, what are you guys doing with this? What are you doing with people that are moving in the community? What are you doing? You can be creative. You can offer a benefit. You can offer a free home warranty. You can offer something, And what at the time, HOAs just, I mean, man, they were just about bankrupt because people weren't paying. They were going into foreclosure. And I just said, hey, look, just one day in conversation with him, I told him that I said, hey, man, what are you guys doing with the people that are behind on HOA fees, like significantly? Like they're going to foreclosure. It just hadn't been filed yet. And he goes, oh, we just wait out the process. I said, oh, if they do a short sale, you guys could get like $1,000. That was pretty common, $1,000, $1,500. And he said, really? And I said, yeah, and it could speed up the time frame between, the filing and them actually going to auction, because at the time it was a year, 2 years out. And I went and met with him, laid it out on a piece of paper how the process worked. And anyway, the guy referred me a ton of business in the future. But you know what? If you're in a beach market, there's a lot of vacation rental companies that don't do sales. There's a lot of annual rental companies in some markets that don't do sales, but they come into contact with a lot of people, and if they're licensed, you can offer them referral. If they're not, you might have to offer, to pay for part of their marketing, or just like take them donuts or something cool every so often, just so that you stay top of mind. But guys, if I can help you with your business, if I can help you with buyer business, like I said, this problem isn't every way, but this is a lot of great lead sources that a lot of agents are just missing, that will cost you very little, if any, money to go out there and start working on them today. It's like the Craigslist ads, just take you a little bit of time to post them, but you got to do it consistently. Facebook Marketplace, same way. You got to do it consistently. The buy and sell groups, the sign calls. To get sign calls, you got to have more signs out there. Open houses are the same way. You know what? You got to do it consistently. You can't judge how successful it is based on doing one open house. You might do 10 open houses, look at your conversion rates, and decide, hey, if it's worth it or not. Some markets are amazing open house markets. Some markets suck for open houses, And I'll tell you what, sometimes houses, I've had houses back when I used to do open houses. I had houses that I was like, oh man, this is a fantastic one. It's on a great street. And I'd put out my signs, I'd do all my work, and we'd have nobody show up. And then the house at the back of the community, sometimes that I go, oh man, this one's going to be bad. It's taking me 5 signs just to get directions, and it'll be fantastic. Guys, your sphere of influence is just one of those sources. You got to keep going out there, working with people, talking to people, making sure they know what you do, because sometimes, hey, a great story of mine with my sphere of influence is my cousin. My cousin bought a $500,000 house, did not use me as her agent because she said she didn't know that I worked in that area. And my office was literally in that area at the time. 3 or 4 years later, they were getting divorced. My cousin sold the house. They didn't use me because they didn't know I was still in the real estate business. And this was family. Man, I didn't know they had the money to buy a $500,000 beach house, So sphere of influence, you got to keep touching them. Video is a long-term strategy. and you got to be strategic with it. You got to do video that makes sense, you know? Blogging is the same way. It's a long-term strategy. You start creating content today, you consistently do it, and you know it might not get you anything the first 30 days, might not get you much the next 60 days, but a year down the road, year and a half down the road, you're going to see we're getting constant leads. You're showing up in Facebook, you're showing up in Google really well. Facebook Lives, you know, are fantastic. It's a great way to keep up with your people that are actually friends with you on Facebook. Some of them do watch your videos if you make the video interesting, if you make the video something that is watchable. You know what I mean? So networking is a great resource. We just got to go out there and do it. We got to keep up with people. We have to strategically do it, you know? Sometimes one of the biggest problems that we have is as agents is some of us are networking in the wrong places, you know? But guys, I hope you have a great day. I hope you found some useful tips in here, and I'll talk to you soon.